The old tractor coughed to life in the pre-dawn chill, its faded red paint swallowed by the shadows of Ethan Caldwell's barn. The engine sputter was a familiar hymn, one Ethan had heard since he was a boy, trailing his father across their Indiana farm. Now, Tuniyawa, at 36, he gripped the steering wheel with calloused hands, his jaw tight against the weight of another day scraping by. The sky was still bruised with night, but the horizon hinted at a dawn that wouldn't care about his overdue bank payments or the drought strangling his cornfields. Ethan's hazel eyes, weathered by years of squinting into the sun, scanned the fields as he drove toward the fence line. He wasn't just checking for broken posts today. He was chasing a feeling, a nagging pull that something was wrong. The Caldwell farm, 100 acres of stubborn soil in Willow Creek, Indiana, had been his family's heartbeat for 3 generations. But the heartbeat was faltering. Ethan's father, Henry Washington, had been the kind of farmer who could coax life from dirt with a whisper and a prayer. He died 6 years ago, his heart giving out during a harvest that barely broke even. Ethan's mother, Clara Inetumanawun, followed 2 years later, her cancer eating away what little hope remained. Now it was just Ethan, Nahamantamur, thus land, and a stack of bills he couldn't outrun. The bank's latest letter sat unopened on his kitchen counter, its thread as heavy as the August heat. He didn't need to read it to know they were circling, waiting for him to crack. As the tractor rumbled along the property's edge, Ethan's breath caught. The old oak tree at the southeast corner loomed through the morning mist, its gnarled branches clawing at the sky. It was a relic from his grandfather's time, a silent witness to decades of Caldwell's working the earth. But today, something was different. The air felt charged. The birds too quiet. Ethan cut the engine and stepped down, his boots sinking into dew-soaked grass. His pulse quickened, a mix of curiosity and dread knotting his gut. Then he saw it, a flash of pale fabric against the tree's dark bark. He broke into a jog, his tool belt jangling at his hip. The sight stopped him cold. A woman much sure, maybe 30, sat slumped against the oak, her body bound to the trunk with heavy chains. Her tailored blazer, once crisp, was torn and streaked with dirt. Dark blonde hair fell across her face, hiding her eyes, but Ethan could see her chest rising faintly. She was alive. His heart hammered as he dropped to his knees beside her. "Marmy Miriam," he said, voice low, hands raised to show he meant no harm. "Can you hear me?" She stirred, her head snapping up, her eyes emerald green, sharp despite the fear clouding them, locked onto his. Her lips, cracked from thirst, parted. "Please, Narsanom," she whispered, voice raw. "They'll come back." Ethan's stomach twisted with a fury he hadn't felt in years. Who would do this? He grabbed his bolt cutters, his hands steady despite the adrenaline flooding his veins. "I'm Ethan Caldwell. This is my farm. You're safe now." He worked fast, the chains resisting with every snap of metal. Bruises marred her wrists, angry proof of her fight. "I'm Olivia Harper." She managed, her voice trembling but resolute. The name hit Ethan like a thunderclap. Harper. Everyone in the Midwest knew the Harper family, billionaires who'd built an empire on grain processing and shipping. Olivia, the missing heiress, had been plastered across every news channel for weeks. Missing, presumed dead, yet here she was, shivering in his field. "I've got water in my truck," Ethan said, forcing his voice to stay calm. "Can you walk?" She nodded, but her legs buckled as she tried to stand. Without a second thought, he scooped her into his arms. She was light, fragile in a way that made his chest ache with protectiveness. Her head rested against his shoulder, and she mumbled something about not calling her father. Ethan's mind raced. Hospital, police, Cerny Shores Orange, or straight to the farmhouse. Her fear told him the authorities might not be safe. He settled her in his truck, wrapping his denim jacket around her trembling shoulders. "Small sips," he said, handing her a water bottle. Her hands shook so badly she could barely hold it. Ethan's anger burned hotter at the sight of dried blood under her nails. Whoever did this would answer for it. "My farmhouse is close," he said, starting the engine. "We'll figure things out there." Olivia's grip tightened on his jacket. "Why are you helping me?" Her voice was small, but her eyes searched his, probing for motives. Ethan met her gaze. his own steady with conviction. Because it's right, he said simply. And because no one deserves this. Tears carved clean paths through the dirt on her cheeks. And for a moment, she looked like she might break. But she didn't. Instead, she nodded, a flicker of trust sparking in her eyes. The farmhouse came into view, its weathered clapboard glowing faintly in the rising sun. Ethan carried Olivia inside, settling her in a kitchen chair. The room smelled of coffee and old wood, its linoleum floor worn thin by decades of boots. He noticed every flaw, the chipped mugs, the faded curtains his mother had hung, and felt a pang of self-consciousness. This wasn't the world of a billionaire's daughter. But Olivia's eyes softened as she took it in, her shoulders easing slightly. Water first, Ethan said, filling a glass. Then we'll clean those cuts. He moved with purpose, pulling a quilt from the living room to drape over her. Olivia sipped the water, her hands steadier now. This puts you in danger, she said, her voice laced with guilt. Ethan shook his head. Let me worry about that. When's the last time you ate? She frowned, disoriented. I don't. What day is it? Tuesday. Triniasoran, Ethan said, his jaw tightening. Days. They'd kept her chained for days. He turned to the stove, cracking eggs into a skillet. The act grounded him, a way to push back the fury threatening to spill over. Olivia watched, her expression unreadable. This feels normal, she said softly, like it shouldn't be possible after. She trailed off, clutching the quilt tighter. You don't have to talk, Ethan said, sliding eggs onto a plate. Not until you're ready. He set the food in front of her. Noting how she kept the door and windows in view, her body braced for threats. After she ate, he pointed her to the bathroom. First aid kits under the sink. Take your time. While the shower ran, Ethan checked the house, locks, curtains. His father's old shotgun, he hoped it wouldn't come to that. But the chains told him this wasn't over. Olivia emerged in his sister's old flannel and jeans, her face scrubbed clean. Without the dirt, she was striking, sharp cheekbones, a quiet strength in her posture. I know you have questions, she said, sinking into a chair. Only one matters, Ethan replied, pouring coffee. Do you feel safe enough to rest? Her eyes welled up. Why aren't you asking who did this? Why I'm here? Because you've been through hell, he said. Sometimes people just need a place to land. A sob caught in her throat, and she pressed a hand to her mouth. Ethan pushed the coffee closer. Get some sleep. I'll be here. He showed her to the spare room, the faint scent of his mother's lavender lingering in the air. Olivia paused in the doorway. Ethan, it's someone or not, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Thank you. For the eggs, the clothes, for making this feel human again. Rest, he said, his heart twisting at her gratitude. Back in the kitchen, he sank into a chair, the weight of the morning crashing over him. Olivia Harper, heiress to a fortune, was sleeping upstairs, running from something dark enough to chain her to a tree. Ethan's father had taught him to help those in need. No questions asked, but his mother's voice echoed too. Protect what's yours. Whatever storm was coming, he'd face it. For now, he had a farm to run and a woman to keep safe. By afternoon, Olivia appeared downstairs, her face less haunted but still drawn. Ethan looked up from his bills, shoving them aside. Soup's on the stove, he said. Nothing fancy. She ladled a bowl, hesitating before sitting. Her eyes flicked to a newspaper on the counter. Harper heiress missing, foul play suspected. Her corporate headshot stared back, all polish and confidence. Sarasina, I need to tell you, she said, her voice steadying. You deserve to know what I've dragged to your door. Ethan leaned forward. I'm listening. Olivia's story spilled out. She'd been CFO of Harper Industries, her father's empire. 2 weeks ago, she'd found discrepancies, small at first, then glaring. Millions funneled through grain terminals, laundered for cartels. All her uncle, Twanin Victor Harper, was behind it, exploiting her father's stroke to seize control. When she confronted him, he laughed. Called her father weak for caring about legacy over profit. She'd gathered proof, a memory card now tucked in her borrowed jeans. but someone betrayed her. Victor's men grabbed her from a parking garage, chained her to the oak as a warning. The tree, Ethan said, frowning. Why there? Lursa rear, Kern. It's on our letterhead, Olivia said bitterly. The Harper Oak. From some old story about our founder. Victor thought it was poetic. Ethan stood, pacing to the window. The sun was setting, the fields golden. They'll come for you? Yes, Suasurento. Her voice was small. I should leave. No. He turned, his tone final. Running's what they want. Together, we're stronger. What did it? Her eyes searched his. A mix of fear and wonder. Why risk this for me? Ethan thought of his father, who'd faced down a corporate giant 18 years ago when they tried to buy the farm. They'd burned the south barn, poisoned the well. But the community rallied. Because my dad taught me some things are worth fighting for, he said, and no one fights alone. Olivia's lips parted, but no words came. She looked down at the memory card, then back at him. In his worn flannel, mountain, his hands scarred from work. He was everything her world wasn't. Honest? Rooted. Good. What do we do? She asked. Get that card somewhere safe. Ethan said, find someone outside Victor's reach. But tonight, you rest. The next morning, Olivia woke to chickens clucking outside. The spare room felt solid. Real, not a fever dream. Through the window, she saw Ethan collecting eggs. His movements sure. She wandered downstairs, drawn by coffee. The kitchen was clean, the newspaper gone. Ethan stepped inside, a basket of eggs in hand. Sleep okay? He asked, his smile warm. Better than I have in weeks. Oh, ATT, she admitted, watching him start breakfast. She felt an urge to contribute. I can help, she said, stepping closer. He handed her a spatula, his fingers brushing hers. Eggs are a good start. Keep 'em moving. She focused, hyper-aware of his presence. The domesticity was surreal. Olivia Harper, Yelgrad, and Pizuworm, scrambling eggs in a farmhouse. They're burning, Ethan said, amusement in his voice. She flushed, moving the pan. Sorry. I was thinking, he finished, his hand grazing her shoulder. What you can Marza? They're just eggs. They ate in silence, sunlight streaming through dusty windows. Olivia studied Ethan's hands, strong, capable, gentle. Show me something useful, she said suddenly. He grinned. Garden needs weeding. Kneeling in the dirt, Olivia learned to spot weeds. Ethan's voice patient as he explained roots and soil. The sun warmed her, loosening the fear in her chest. It's about getting to the source, he said, pulling a weed clean. Like corruption, she murmured, her hands sinking into earth. They worked quietly, the rhythm soothing. Later, she gathered eggs alone, each one a small victory. Through the barn door, she saw Ethan fixing the tractor, his focus absolute. Her old life, boardrooms, power suits felt hollow compared to this. The memory card in her pocket was a ticking bomb. But for now, she let herself breathe. A black SUV shattered the peace. Crawling up the drive, Olivia froze, dishes slipping from her hands. Ethan was at her side in an instant, his body tense. Back door, he said, keys are, I'm not leaving you, she snapped. Surprising them both, two men in suits stepped out, badges flashing. Miss Harper. Nani you want us for you? The taller one called, FBE, we need to talk. Ethan moved to the porch, shielding her. Can I help you? Agent Carter, FBI. The man said, following a missing persons case. Mind if we come in? Olivia stepped forward, her heart pounding. I'm Olivia Harper. And I'm not missing. The agents exchanged looks. Your uncle's been worried. The shorter one, Agent Lyle, said, pulling a notebook. Mind explaining why you're hiding here? I needed time, Olivia said, her voice steady, to think about business matters, like your accusations against Victor Harper. Lyle's pen hovered. He's been cooperative. Open the books. I bet, Olivia muttered. Ethan cleared his throat. If she's not missing, and no crime's been committed here. We're done. Carter's smile was cold. We'll need you to come with us. Miss Harper, can I in to clear things up? She's not going anywhere. Ethan said, his voice like iron. Harboring a person of interest is serious. Mr. Caldwell. Carter said, she's a guest. Ethan shot back. Olivia stepped forward, chin high. I'll make a statement through my lawyer. Gloria Vance. The agents hesitated. Vance's name carried weight. We'll be in touch, Carter said, handing her a card. Don't leave the state. As the SUV vanished, Olivia sank onto the porch steps, shaking. They're victors, she whispered. He's got someone in the FBI. Ethan sat beside her, their shoulders touching. Then we don't trust the FBI. We find another way. The memory card, she said. We need to move it. I know a place, Ethan said, offering his hand. But first, we make you less visible. An hour later, Olivia was driving the tractor, Ethan's baseball cap shielding her face. She laughed, the sound startling her. From a distance, she was just another farmhand. But as Ethan watched, his chest tightened. The agent's visit was a warning. Time was running out. That night, the memory card's data glowed on Ethan's ancient computer. Olivia stood behind him, her hand on his shoulder. These manifests were an turns, she said, pointing, too perfect. Real agriculture has variables, drought, pests. These are cover for drug money. Ethan scrolled, his jaw tight. They're buying farms too. Foreclosures, forced sales. They're building an empire, Olivia said, controlling the food supply. A noise outside made them freeze, a raccoon. Nothing more. But Ethan's hand hovered near the shotgun. We need help, Olivia said. Someone clean. My dad's old friend. Ethan said, retired FBI. Lives 2 hours north. Dad trusted him with his life. When do we leave? Dawn Wahanet, he said, pocketing the card. Sleep if you can. Sleep didn't come. At midnight, Olivia stood at the kitchen window, moonlit fields stretching before her. Ethan's footsteps were soft behind her. Can't sleep, she asked, thinking, he said. Joining her. Your uncle's after power. Not just money. He's a front, Olivia said. The perfect face, respected. Grieving brother. Ethan's hand found hers, warm and grounding. You saw it when it mattered. She looked at their joined hands, her polished nails chipped. His scarred from work. Ethan, she said, heart racing. If this goes wrong, I need you to know. These days, I've felt alive, really alive. Nothing's going wrong, he said, his voice fierce. Headlights flashed on the road, a passing car, but it broke the moment. Dawn's early Urisirwam, he said. They stood together, two souls from different worlds, bound by a truth neither could ignore. Dawn found Olivia in the garden, harvesting tomatoes for their trip. Each fruit felt like defiance, life persisting. Ethan approached with coffee, his smile soft. You're good at that. Siederum. They tell you when they're ready, she replied, surprising herself. Like financial reports, but honest. Want to help with chores? Mosher Westerworm. Yuri Hordeturdanon, he asked. She followed him to the chicken coop, the hens greeting her like an old friend. Simple's not easy, she said. Gathering eggs. My old life, strategy, deals, it was nothing compared to this. Ethan leaned against the coop, watching her. You were brave enough to try. They fed the horses. Olivia's hands steady with grain. In Chicago, it was always about the next deal. She said, here it was. Just being is enough. He checked his watch. We should pack. She lingered, touching the barn's rough walls. Ethan, after this, when it's over, I want to learn more. Not corporate farming, real farming. If you'll teach me. His eyes softened. Come on, he said. Imam. Voice rough, long drive ahead. They packed sandwiches. Olivia moving easily in the kitchen she'd come to know. A letter stopped them cold, plain. No address, tucked under the truck's wiper. Ethan's face darkened as he read it. Some things should stay buried. Walk away. Or we'll bury more than secrets. Ask your father about the fire. The barn fire. Fudwani Winar, Wunternim, Olivia whispered. 18 years ago, Ethan's south barn had burned. His well poisoned. A corporate giant wanted the land. They've been watching, Ethan said, crumpling the note. We're not running. They drove in silence. Back roads winding toward the highway. Olivia noticed Ethan's grip on the wheel, his eyes flicking to the mirror. Susurranimonor, Susurronin. Tell me about the fire. She said, they killed our livestock, made it look accidental. He said, voice tight, Dad knew, but no one would testify. Neighbors rebuilt with us. That's what they don't get about farmers. We're stronger together. A black SUV appeared behind them, its windows dark. Olivia's breath hitched. Ethan's hand slid toward the shotgun. Hold on, he said. Taking a sharp turn, he wove through cattle paths, losing the SUV in a maze of rural roads. At a gas station, he used a burner phone to warn his father's friend. They might get there first, Olivia said. Already warned him, Ethan said, tossing the phone into a passing truck. Dad taught me always have a plan. Olivia handed him a sandwich, her hands steady. Victor won't stop, she said. Men like him don't understand people like us. Ethan said, taking her hand, us. The burner rang, Victor's voice smooth. Taking my niece on a road trip. Ethan, you're one no was. Let's be civilized, Ethan replied, his tone pure farm boy respect. We're driving. Sir, a you and and have a nice day. He hung up, tossing the phone. 2 hours before he knows we're not turning back. Sheriff Lena Brooks tapped her desk, her father's badge glinting in the light. Willow Creek was small, but her instincts were sharp. 2 FBI visits in a week. No courtesy call, that wasn't right. Her deputy confirmed it. The second pair didn't check in. A text from Betty at the diner sealed it. Suits asking about Ethan, not the friendly kind. Lena stood, clipping her badge. It's just your one. Get me everything on Harper Industries. Call your cousin at state police. She spotted 3 out-of-state cars on Main Street. Men trying too hard to blend in. Dialing Ethan's sister. Mia, she said. That favor you owe Ethan. Ooh, time to pay up. By noon, Mia's real estate contacts uncovered Harper's farm acquisitions. Betty overheard the suits talking payoffs. Deputy Ryan reported Ethan's truck heading north. Tailed by an SUV, Lena grabbed her keys. 18 years ago, she'd watched politics bury the Caldwell fire. Not this time. Her radio crackled. Bill Cooper rented his cabin to a young couple. Lena smiled. Bill's cabin was her and Ethan's old hideout. She called Ethan's father's friend, David Reese, retired FBI. Pieces were moving. Farmers blocked roads. Doors closed to strangers. Willow Creek was protecting its own. Catherine's voice came through Lena's phone. Tired but firm. Jack said we could trust you. Trust goes both ways, Lena said. Catherine's story, corruption, betrayal matched the evidence. The suits are in an FBI. Are they? No, non Tunalu, Catherine said. Victor's men. Ex-military. They're behind you, Lena said, starting her engine. Good thing County Road 8's under repair. She heard Ethan's chuckle through the phone. Like old times, he said. Better. Lena replied, I've got a badge now. Real FBI's moving on the terminals tonight. Robert's got people everywhere. Ethan warned. So do we use it? Lena said. She spotted the SUVs, trapped behind a farmer's combine. Betty radioed. Flat tires on the suits' cars. Small-town justice at work. Breaking news hit. Harper Industries linked to cartel. Olivia watched alerts flood her burner phone in David Reese's study. David sharp as ever. Closed his laptop. Every outlet has it. 3 task forces are digging. All legal. Victor's arrested. Ethan asked. Standing by the window. 20 minutes ago. David said. Raids ongoing across 6 states. Olivia's phone buzzed. Her lawyer. Gloria Vance is the board was meeting. Her father cleared to attend. Ethan squeezed her shoulder. It's time, he said. The cartel angle was key, David said. Force their hand. They'll blame Victor. A wapitita to hara and want to Olivia said. Let them try, David said. We've got emails, minutes, sonana ones, testimony. Ethan turned. The farms they forced out, under investigation, David said, handing Olivia a folder. Fraud, environmental violations, crop damage, and 7 barn fires. Just like yours. Olivia scanned the documents, her CFO brain kicking in. They'll lose everything. Good, Ethan said, his voice quiet but hard. News vans swarmed outside. Olivia stood, smoothing her flannel. I should make a statement. You don't have to, Ethan said. Yes, I do, she replied, touching his cheek. You showed me what's right. On the porch, watching what can, cameras blazed. I'm Olivia Harper, she began, her voice steady, and I'm here to tell you about corruption, courage, and what really matters. Ethan watched, pride swelling. The headlines would scream of billions lost, but the real story was in Olivia's calluses. Her strength, the love they'd found in the dirt. Weeks later, Olivia found Ethan fixing the fence by the oak. The chains were gone, the tree's scars fading. She set down coffee, picking up gloves to help. Board voted, she said, hammering a post. Dad's chairman again. They want me as CEO. You didn't break it, Ethan said, meeting her eyes. You saved it. Forensic accountants found something, she said. That company last spring, Victor's, they planned to force you out. Ethan drove another post. Not this time. We're starting a foundation, Olivia said. Legal aid, grants, loans for farmers. Sounds like your dad, Ethan said. His idea, she smiled. He wants to meet you. The sun dipped. The fence standing strong. Dad needs a month to recover, Olivia said. I could help here. Learn more. If you'll teach me. Farm's been neglected, Ethan said, his voice rough. Could use you. She stepped closer, their hands brushing. Just the farm. He took her hand, heart pounding. No, not just the farm. The oak rustled above, its leaves whispering of new beginnings. They walked back, shoulders touching, the farmhouse glowing with promise. Bills waited, but so did hope. Sometimes, Olivia thought, that was enough. Olivia stood in the barn, her suit stark against the hay, phone to her ear. She handled shareholder concerns with cool authority, patting the farm dog absent-mindedly. The board's at 2, she said, ending the call. Kicking off her heels, she grinned at Ethan. Wouldn't want to shock them with dirt. He laughed, wiping grease from his hands. Might have to treat farmers like experts. She changed into jeans, joining him in the fields. Her eyes caught a pipe mismatch. We're losing pressure. She said. Equipment costs. Ethan started, but she cut him off. It's just money. Ethan, not about money, he said, adjusting a coupling. This farm stands on its own. What about thriving? She pressed. Her phone buzzed, her father. I can drive myself, she laughed, rolling her eyes at Ethan. He worries, he said. He's trying, she replied, leaning against a post. Asked if you join the foundation's board. Ethan stiffened. I'm no suit. That's why we need you. Shidi ninamri, summeni, she said, touching his arm. Mia's BMW pulled up. Her weekly visit. Disgustingly domestic. She teased, spreading maps of at-risk farms. Olivia took notes. Ethan pointed out water issues. This could work, Mia said. They'll cooperate. Olivia said, her CEO voice firm. Ethan watched, awed by these women fighting for his world. Olivia caught his eye. Cooperative buying program. Might be something, he said. Heart full. The Harper boardroom gleamed with power, but Olivia owned it now. Ethan, in his stiff suit, stayed close. Our initiative's up 28%, she said, slides clicking. Bernard Klein scoffed. Pushing centralized control. Want the accountant's reports again? Olivia asked coolly. Her father smiled from the table's head. Small operators feed this country, Ethan said, his voice cutting through. And protect it. Olivia laid out data, yields. Our turn in Waffen system, fertility, innovation. What is Sarah Yuan? Klein tried again, hinting at her rustic ties. Her father's eyes flashed. But Olivia stopped him. Let's talk about your Aspen house. Bernard, she said, pulling up a slide. Is sister we one purchased through a shell company. Shall we discuss? Silence fell. Her father's smile grew. The initiative passed. Ethan explaining irrigation tech to a stun board. In the elevator, he loosened his tie. Never play poker with you, she laughed. Did you see their faces when you talk semiconductors? Her father waited outside, cane in hand. Walk with me, Ethan. Olivia watched them through glass. Her father gesturing, Ethan relaxing. Sarah texted, another farm saved. Her father kissed her cheek. Keep him. He sees what we miss. Driving home. Chicago fading. Ethan took her hand. Your dad offered me a job. Corner office. West Serenado. And told him I've got the best office, he said, smiling. Better views. Effusiona with Kunchonoson. The farmhouse kitchen glowed as Olivia stirred stew. Ethan kissed her shoulder. Casual and warm. Mary says more pepper. She teased. The table held their lives, reports, receipts. Surnuna Forstermaster nibboards. Plans. It keyed on a branch. Developer called. Ethan said, wants a restaurant here. Says you make us authentic. A bride years served doom. She laughed. What did you say? That we were authentic before you? He said, turning serious. Your lease is up. Her heart skipped. This house, he said, it's too big alone. You're here most nights. Ethan Caldwell, she said, kissing him. Are you asking me to move in? Maybe while you may restaury, he grinned. Unless it's too rural. Commute's hell, she teased. But it's home. They ate. Planning changes, internet, space for her work. Farms protected, Ethan said. Foundations buying the back 40. You didn't tell me, she said, eyes shining. Housewarming gift. He grinned. The oak tree hosted their wedding. Wildflowers everywhere. Mary's volunteers transformed it. The community arriving with pies. Arwaring. Chairs. Stories. Sheriff Lena kept order. Grinning. Governor's coming, she said. You took down a titan. Olivia, Shurninin, in a simple dress, walked to Ethan under an arch of farm tools. Mary gave them wheat stalk rings, gold dipped from their harvest. Their kiss sealed it, 2 worlds one. A year later, Olivia sat under the oak, laptop open, her contrashernima antimantine, running a board meeting. Ethan's tractor rumbled past. Their daughter, P.D. Marnowan, so Clara Ilmanibilu, waving. The Harper Foundation thrived. Cedar Grove bloomed. Mary's planning the festival. Ethan said, lifting Clara, pie's a lost cause. Olivia laughed. 7 fairs say otherwise, he teased, kissing them. Her father called, new board members, real experts. Emma's retiring. Ethan said, running for office. Wissarimwakinamanin. Olivia watched Clara play. Ethan's hand in hers. If you hadn't found me, she said, you'd have saved yourself. He said, but I'm glad I did. She looked at their farm, their child, their life. In Miawan, the worst moments, she said, lead to the best places. The oak's chimes sang, proof that love and courage could transform anything. Their wealth wasn't in money, it was in the soil. Their hands, their hearts. The harvest festival was in full swing under the old oak tree, its branches now strung with lanterns that glowed like fireflies against the twilight. The air hummed with laughter, the clink of mason jars, and the twang of a local bluegrass band. Olivia Anderson Harper, as she was now known, Hoover-de-Tibri, moved through the crowd, her flannel shirt tucked into jeans, a far cry from the boardroom suit she still wore 3 days a week in Chicago. Her daughter, Sonashia de Shemersuri, one petticoat, Clara, toddled beside her, clutching a tiny pumpkin from the kid's patch. Olivia's heart swelled at the sight, Clara's curls bouncing, her eyes wide with wonder. This was what she'd fought for. Not just a farm, but a life where joy could grow as freely as the crops. Ethan was at the pie table, judging entries with Mary, his grin boyish, despite the streaks of gray starting to thread through his dark hair. He caught Olivia's eye across the crowd, and the warmth in his gaze sent a flutter through her chest, same as it had that first morning by the oak. She waved, then knelt to adjust Clara's jacket. Ready to see Daddy judge pies? She asked, brushing dirt from her daughter's cheek. Clara nodded, her tiny hand gripping Olivia's finger with fierce trust. The festival wasn't just a celebration, it was a statement. Willow Creek had become a beacon for sustainable farming. Thanks to the Harper Foundation's grants and Olivia's relentless advocacy, farmers from across the Midwest had come, some to learn, others to share stories of their own battles against corporate greed. The community that had shielded Olivia and Ethan during their darkest days now stood taller, prouder, duckheaded, their roots deeper than ever. Mrs. Anderson Harper, Betty called from the diner's booth, her apron dusted with flour. Got a new cider recipe for you to try. On the house, Olivia laughed. Accepting a steaming mug, the sweetness hit her tongue, laced with a hint of spice. And she closed her eyes, savoring it. Betty leaned closer, voice low. Heard from Lena. State Senate's already buzzing about her agricultural reform bill. Says you and Ethan inspired it. Olivia's smile softened with pride. Sheriff Lena Brooks, now campaigning for office, had become a fierce ally. She's the one doing the heavy lifting, Olivia said, glancing at Clara, who was tugging her toward the pie table. We just gave her a nudge. At the table, Ethan was tasting a slice of pecan pie, his expression comically serious. Mary swatted his arm. Don't you dare give Mabel's pie anything less than a 9. Ethan Caldwell. She's been perfecting that recipe since you were in diapers. The crowd chuckled, and Ethan held up his hands in mock surrender. Wouldn't dream of it. Mary, Marie, he said, winking at Olivia as she approached. He scooped Clara into his arms, planting a kiss on her forehead. What do you think, little judge? Sure we yivering, is this pie a winner? Clara giggled, grabbing for his fork, and Olivia's chest ached with a happiness so full it felt like it might spill over. Later, as the band struck up a lively tune, Ethan pulled Olivia onto the makeshift dance floor, really just a patch of grass worn smooth by boots. The crowd parted, cheering, as he spun her under the lanterns. Her laughter rang out, free and unguarded, a sound she barely recognized from her old life. Ethan's hands were steady on her waist, his eyes locked on hers. You're glowing tonight, he murmured, his breath warm against her ear. Must be the cider, she teased, but her voice softened. Or maybe it's you. He pulled her closer, and for a moment, the world was just them, two hearts beating in time with the music. Under the tree that had seen their worst and best days, the dance ended, but they lingered, swaying gently as the band slowed. Clara ran up, tugging Ethan's sleeve. Daddy, horsey, she demanded, pointing to the hayride, pulling kids around the field. Ethan laughed, hoisting her onto his shoulders. Duty calls, he said to Olivia, brushing a kiss across her lips. Save me a dance later. Always, she promised, watching him stride off. Clara squealing with delight. Alone for a moment, Olivia leaned against the oak, its bark rough under her palm. She traced the spot where the chains had been, now just a faint scar. The memory still stung, fear, helplessness, but it was tempered by what had grown here since. Trust, love. The race remains. A future she'd never dared imagine. Her phone buzzed, pulling her back. A message from her father. Board approved the new grant program. Farmers Cooperative model is a go. Proud of you. Olivia smiled, typing a quick reply. Her father had changed since the scandal. Less focused on empire, more on legacy. He'd taken to calling Ethan son, a quiet acknowledgement of the man who'd helped rebuild their family. Mia's voice cut through her thoughts. Ethan's sister wove through the crowd, her designer boots absurdly out of place, but her grin pure Willow Creek. Just got word from the state ag department. They're citing our cooperative as a model for rural revitalization. We're making headlines again. Olivia laughed, shaking her head. Headlines are your thing. Monsieur, I'm just happy it's working. Mia had thrown herself into the foundation, her real estate savvy now protecting farms instead of selling them. She'd become Olivia's closest friend, a bridge between their worlds. Speaking of work, Mia said, lowering her voice. Namra Sunurni. Lena's team found something. Old Harper Shell Company, tied to a land deal up north. Not Victor's, someone else's. She thinks it's still active. Olivia's stomach tightened, the warmth of the festival dimming. After all this time, Victor was in prison, his empire dismantled. But the cartels he'd served didn't vanish so easily. Does Ethan know? Not yet, Mia said. Lena's keeping it quiet until she's sure. Olivia nodded, her mind already turning. Let's keep it that way for now. He deserves tonight. She glanced at Ethan, laughing as he helped Clara toss hay at a scarecrow. The sight steadied her, a reminder of what they'd built. Whatever shadow lingered, they'd face it together. The festival wound down, stars bright above the oak. Olivia and Ethan sat on a blanket, Clara asleep between them, her pumpkin clutched like a treasure. The crowd had thinned, leaving just the hum of crickets and the occasional laugh from stragglers. Ethan's arm was around Olivia, his thumb tracing circles on her shoulder. "Good night, Wasanantum," he said, voice low. "Best one yet." She leaned into him, her head resting against his chest. "Because of you. This place, these people, you made it home." He tilted her chin up, his eyes searching hers. "We made it home." His kiss was slow, tender, churning, a promise sealed under the tree that had witnessed their journey. Olivia felt the weight of the memory card's secrets lift, replaced by something stronger, roots deep enough to weather any storm. The next morning, Olivia woke to sunlight streaming through the farmhouse window. Ethan was already up, his side of the bed cool. She found him in the kitchen, coffee brewing, Clara scribbling on a pad at the table. "Morning, CEO," he teased, handing her a mug. "Big plans today." "Always we need one under, she said, kissing him softly. "But first, eggs." "Clara's orders," Clara giggled, holding up a drawing of a lopsided tractor. Olivia laughed, her heart full. The news from Mia nagged at her, but she pushed it aside. Today was for the farm. For her family, the fight could wait. Weeks later, the air turned crisp, the fields golden with late harvest. Olivia was in the barn, checking irrigation specs on her tablet. When Lena's cruiser pulled up, Ethan was fixing a fence nearby. But he joined them, his face tightening at Lena's expression. "Found something," Lena said, handing Olivia a folder. "That shell company Mia flagged. It's buying up farms again. Small, lead went for anyone. Quiet deals, but the pattern's familiar. And there's a name attached. Someone high up in Harper's old network. Not Victor, someone new." Olivia's pulse quickened as she scanned the documents. Ethan's hand rested on her back, steadying her. "They didn't learn," he said, voice hard. "Thought we'd roll over. We won't." Olivia said, her CEO still returning. "Lena, can you get this to David Reese?" "Already on it," Lena said. "He's pulling strings with the feds. But Livia winner meets for certain. Ethan, this one's bigger. International ties can You need to be careful." Ethan's jaw set. "Let them come. This is our land." Olivia met his eyes, a silent vow passing between them. The oak tree stood outside, its chimes singing in the breeze. Whatever came next, they'd face it as they always had, side by side, rooted in the soil they'd fought for, the love they'd grown. The folder sat on the kitchen table that night, its contents a shadow over their stew. Clara was asleep upstairs, the house quiet but for the creak of old boards. Olivia traced the rim of her mug, her mind racing. "If it's international," she said, "we're not just fighting a company, it's a network." Ethan leaned back, his eyes distant but sharp. "Dad used to say land's only yours as long as you defend it. Doesn't matter who's coming, corporate suits or cartel money. We hold the line." She reached for his hand, her fingers twining with his. "We've got the foundation." Lena, David Worm, Chinakan, Mia's digging. "We're not alone. Never were," he said, pulling her close. "That's what they keep missing." The next day, Olivia was on a call with David Reese, her laptop glowing in the farmhouse office. Ethan was outside, teaching Clara to plant radish seeds. David's voice crackled through. "Feds are moving, but it's slow. This new player's careful, offshore accounts, encrypted comms. We need more. Why wouldn't your name Mr. Wine?" "I'll get it," Olivia said, her old CFO instincts flaring. "Send me the financials. Leave." David said, "This isn't just about evidence. They know you're the threat. You and Ethan, what half an hour you on Mamma?" She glanced out the window, where Ethan was laughing as Clara dumped dirt on his boots. "Then they'll learn what we're made of," she said. That afternoon, Mia arrived with a stack of property records. "Found 3 more farms. she said, spreading them out. Same pattern, lowball offers. Then accidents. One had a fire last week. Ethan's face darkened. Like ours. Exactly. Mia said, I've got a contact in real estate law. We can freeze these sales, but we need hard proof. Olivia nodded. Already pulling up data. I'll cross-reference with Harper's old accounts. There's always a trail. Ethan watched her, pride mixing with worry. You're sure about this? She met his gaze. Resolute. They chained me to that tree to silence me. I'm done being quiet. By evening, Olivia had a lead, a shell company linked to a grain terminal in Ohio. She showed Ethan the numbers. Her voice steady. This is it. The hub. Kruata Pimorni. He studied the screen. Then her. We take this to David. It's war. Good, she said, her hand finding his. We've won one before. The call to David was brief. I'm sending it now, Olivia said, attaching the files. Tell the feds to move fast. Done. David said, but liver they'll hit back. Hard. Let them try. Ethan cut in, his voice like steel. We're ready. We're ready. The next morning, news broke, raids across Ohio, arrests tied to the terminal. Olivia's phone lit up with alerts, but she ignored them. Kneeling in the garden with Clara, Ethan joined them, his hands dusty from chores. Feds got their man, he said, some lawyer from Harper's old circle. It's not over, Olivia said, pulling a weed, but it's a start. Clara held up a radish, beaming. Look. Mom, Olivia kissed her forehead, her heart steady. Beautiful. Baby. Ethan's arm slipped around her. We're doing all right, he said. The oak looming behind them, its chimes a quiet hymn to their fight. Years later, the oak stood prouder, its branches heavy with wind chimes crafted by Clara. Now a lanky 10-year-old with her father's eyes and her mother's fire. The farm was a hub, training center, community heart, proof that small roots could change the world. Olivia, gray streaking her hair, ran the foundation from a sleek office in the barn. Her days split between policy fights and planting seasons. Iftasin Sewerman, weathered but strong, taught young farmers, his hands still happiest in the dirt. Clara ran up, a tablet in hand. Mom. Dad. What look der? Lena's bill passed. Olivia read the headline, Rural Reform Act signed. Protecting family farms. She hugged Clara tight. Your Aunt Lena's a force. Ethan grinned, ruffling Clara's hair. Takes after her mom. That night, under the oak, they sat as a family, lanterns glowing. Clara sketched chimes, Ethan whittled, and Olivia read policy briefs, her glasses slipping. The world had changed, slower than they'd hoped. But real farms thrived. Communities grew, and the cartel's shadows had faded, chased by light. Think they'd believe it? Ethan asked, nodding at the tree. How it started. Olivia leaned against him, Clara between them. They don't have to. We lived it. The oak's chimes sang, carrying their story, a farmer, an heiress. A fight for what mattered. In Willow Creek, wealth wasn't measured in dollars, but in roots, La Formaserie, and the courage to stand tall. The years carved new lines into the Caldwell farm, just as they did into Ethan and Olivia's faces. The oak tree stood as steady as ever, its wind chimes now a chorus of Clara's creations, each one a testament to her growing skill and her parents' unwavering support. At 13, Clara was a force, sharp-witted, dirt-stained, and fiercely proud of the farm that had shaped her. She'd inherited Ethan's knack for the land and Olivia's relentless curiosity, a combination that made her both a dreamer and a doer. The farm itself had evolved into more than a family legacy. It was a living classroom, drawing students, activists, and farmers from across the country to learn what Willow Creek had proven. Small hands could move mountains. Olivia sat on the porch one crisp October morning, her laptop balanced on her knees as she reviewed the Foundation's latest report. The Harper Foundation for Sustainable Agriculture had grown beyond her wildest hopes, funding over 200 family farms and spearheading policies that protected rural communities. Her hair was more silver than blonde now, pulled back in a practical braid, but her green eyes still burned with the same fire that had carried her through that first desperate fight. She glanced up as Ethan approached from the fields, his flannel shirt dusted with soil, a thermos of coffee in hand. Morning. Interisvan. CEO, he said, his voice warm with the easy teasing that had become their rhythm. He handed her the thermos, his fingers brushing hers. Calluses meeting calluses. Clara's out there teaching the new interns how to prune apple trees. Think she's got your boardroom voice? Olivia laughed, the sound soft but full. Poor kids. She's tougher than I ever was. She took a sip, the coffee strong and sweet, just how Ethan always made it. Her gaze drifted to the oak, its leaves a blaze of red and gold. Hard to believe it's been 15 years since everything. Ethan followed her eyes, his expression softening. Feels like yesterday sometimes. Other times, Commander Sarnan, it's just bunan tuman. It like a different life. He sat beside her, the porch swing creaking under his weight. His hand found hers, a quiet anchor. You ever think about what might have happened if I hadn't checked that fence? Every day, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. The memory of the chain still lingered, a shadow that never fully faded. But it was overshadowed now by the life they'd built. Clara's laughter. The farm's bounty, the community that called them family. I'd have fought my way out. Probably, but I wouldn't have found this. She squeezed his hand, her heart aching with gratitude. Ethan's thumb traced her knuckles, his hazel eyes steady. We found each other. That's what matters. Clara's voice broke the moment. Calling from the orchard, Dada Ishunden was written. Mom. You gotta see this. She bounded toward them, her work boots kicking up dust, a grin splitting her face. Behind her trailed a group of interns, college kids with notebooks and wide eyes, hanging on her every word. The new grafting technique worked. 3 of the trees are budding already. Ethan stood, ruffling Clara's hair. That's my girl. Show me. He shot Olivia a look. Half pride, half amusement. She's gonna run this place better than we ever did. Olivia followed them to the orchard, her laptop forgotten. Clara was in her element, explaining rootstock to the interns with a confidence that made Olivia's chest swell. The girl gestured at a young apple tree, its branches heavy with promise. See how the graft took. It's about patience. Force it, and you'll kill the tree. Let it grow, and it's stronger than ever. One intern, a lanky kid with glasses, raised a hand. Clara Dover Surahino Unrus. How'd you learn all this? Yuri was Sarmum, Jord Biki, like Curry. Itimerstante. My age. Clara grinned, tossing a braid over her shoulder. My dad's been teaching me since I could walk. And my mom, she's the one who makes sure we can keep doing it. She glanced at Olivia, her eyes shining with admiration. Olivia felt a lump in her throat, the weight of her daughter's trust humbling her. All right. Priu. Professor, Ethan teased, nudging Clara. Let these folks get back to work. We've got chores. As the interns dispersed, Clara lingered, her expression turning serious. Mop. I was looking at the foundation site last night. There's a new bill in Congress, something about land taxes. It could hurt small farmers. Can we do something? Olivia exchanged a glance with Ethan. Their daughter's instinct for justice was no surprise, but it still caught her off guard sometimes. We'll look into it. The restaurant, she said, resting a hand on Clara's shoulder. You want to help with the research? Clara's face lit up. Can I? Like, really help? Really? Olivia said, smiling. But only if you finish your math homework first. Clara groaned, but her grin didn't fade as she darted off to the barn. Already planning her next move. Ethan chuckled, slipping an arm around Olivia's waist. She's gonna take over the world. You know, Wani Kunanas her nomen. Let her, Olivia said, leaning into him. We'll just make sure it's a good one. The day unfolded in the familiar rhythm of farm life. Chores, lessons, the hum of community. But beneath it, a quiet unease stirred. Clara's mention of the tax bill wasn't just a kid's curiosity. It echoed whispers Olivia had heard from other farmers. The foundation's victories had made enemies, not just in corporate boardrooms, but in political circles where money still spoke louder than truth. She pushed the thought aside, focusing on the harvest schedule. But it lingered like a storm cloud on the horizon. That evening, the farmhouse kitchen glowed with warmth. The table crowded with Ethan's seed catalogs, Olivia's policy briefs, and Clara's sketches of new chimes. They ate chili, The recipe, a blend of Mary's Diner Classic and Olivia's Tweaks, more spice, less salt. Clara chattered about her grafting project, but her eyes kept flicking to the folder Olivia had brought home. Its cover stamped with the foundation's logo. Spill it. Kitty kid why, vitamin one. Ethan said, catching her glance. What's on your mind? Clara hesitated, then pushed her bowl aside. I heard some of the interns talking. They said big companies are buying votes to push that tax bill, like to make it harder for farms like ours to stay open. Is that true? Olivia set down her spoon, her CEO instincts kicking in. It's possible, she said carefully. Politics and money go hand in hand. But we've got tools to fight back. Data. People does someone. The truth. Clara's jaw set. A mirror of Ethan's stubborn streak. Then we should use them. Like you did with Uncle Victor. The mention of Victor Harper. Yes, Furfunder and the week sergeant on him one done. Long since faded from their daily lives, sent a chill through Olivia. She reached for Ethan's hand under the table. Grounding herself, we will lock on us, sir. We will match, she said. But it's not just our fight. It's everyone's, every farmer, every family who believes in this way of life. Clara nodded, her determination unshaken. I want to help, not just research. I want to do something. Ethan leaned forward, his voice gentle but firm. You're already doing something. Clara, every tree you graft, every kid you teach, that's building something they can't take away. She considered this, her eyes softening. Okay, but I'm still helping with the bill. Deal, Olivia said, smiling despite the weight settling in her chest. After Clara went to bed, she and Ethan sat at the table. The folder opened between them. The documents were dense, legalese mixed with financial projections. But Olivia's trained eye caught the pattern. Tax incentives skewed toward corporate agribusiness, penalties that would crush small operators. It wasn't just policy, it was a knife aimed at the heart of places like Willow Creek. They're not even hiding it, she said, her voice tight with anger. This bill's backed by half a dozen lobbying groups, all tied to the same conglomerates we've been fighting for years. Ethan studied the pages, his jaw tight. Same playbook as Victor. Squeeze the little guy until he breaks. Not this time, Olivia said, her resolve hardening. We've got allies now, Lena, Mia, Sari, David. And Clara's right, we've got the truth. He met her eyes. A spark of the old fire there. Then we fight. Like always. The next morning, Olivia was on the phone with Lena. Now a state senator with a reputation for shaking up the status quo. I've seen the bill, Lena said, her voice clipped. It's ugly. Lieber Nafshin Sherwant. But there's a hearing next week. If we can get enough farmers to testify, show the human cost, we might stop it. I'll rally them, Olivia said. Can you get us time on the floor? Already working on it, Lena said. But to time. Watch your back. These players don't like losing. Ethan was in the barn when she relayed the plan, sharpening tools with a focus that belied his calm. Can Clara's got school, he said, but she'll want to come. Let her, Olivia said. She needs to see what we're fighting for. The hearing was held in Indianapolis, a sterile government chamber that felt worlds away from Willow Creek's fields. Olivia sat at the witness table, flanked by Ethan and a dozen farmers, their weathered hands and honest faces a stark contrast to the suits across the aisle. Clara sat in the gallery, her notebook open, sketching the scene with fierce concentration. Olivia's heart steadied at the sight. Her daughter, their future. Assurance Thornton. Watching where one and was Ladies and gentlemen, Olivia began, her voice clear and commanding. This bill isn't about taxes. It's about survival. Small farms like ours feed communities, preserve land, and build futures. But this legislation would tax us out of existence, handing our fields to corporations who see soil as profit, not life. She laid out the numbers, jobs lost, communities gutted, food security at risk. Ethan spoke next, his voice steady but raw. My family's worked our land for 3 generations. We've faced drought, have faced droughts, fires, greed, but this bill, it's a death sentence for farmers who've already given everything. The farmers followed, their stories weaving a tapestry of resilience and loss. A woman from Ohio spoke of her son leaving for the city, unable to afford the farm. A man from Iowa showed photos of his fields. Barren after corporate runoff poisoned the soil. The committee listened, some faces softening, others hard with calculation. Across the aisle, a lobbyist in a tailored suit leaned forward, his smile slick. Sir Armipers, Anderson Harper, he said, your foundation's done admirable work. But small farms are inefficient. Consolidation is progress. Olivia's eyes narrowed, her CEO still rising. Progress for whom, Mr. Daniels? Your clients stand to gain billions while families lose their homes. That's not efficiency, it's theft. A murmur rippled through the room. Clara's pencil paused. Her eyes locked on her mother. Ethan's hand brushed Olivia's under the table. A silent, we've got this, the lobbyist faltered, but recovered, citing projections that Olivia dismantled with surgical precision. Her years as CFO shining through. The hearing stretched into the evening. The farmers' voices growing hoarse but never weak. Lena worked the room, rallying support. Her badge now a senator's pin, but her grit unchanged. By the end, the committee chair promised a review. A small victory, but a start. Outside, Clara ran to them, hugging Olivia tight. You were amazing. Mom me forn. Like a superhero. Olivia laughed, smoothing her daughter's hair. Just a farmer's wife. Kid. The man who won him on. And a CEO, Ethan added, his arm around them both. Don't sell yourself short. The drive home was quiet. Clara asleep in the back. Olivia leaned against Ethan, the city lights fading into stars. Think we made a difference? She asked. Always do. He said, his voice sure. One fight at a time. The bill didn't die, but it stalled. Rewritten to ease the tax burden on small farms. Lena called it a win, but warned them to stay vigilant. Olivia took it in stride. Her focus back on the farm. Clara started a school club, teaching kids about sustainable agriculture. Her passion infectious. Ethan built a new greenhouse, his hands as steady as ever. One spring morning, Olivia found herself under the oak, Clara beside her, hammering a new chime into place. The farm was alive, interns planting, farmers visiting, the foundation's work humming. Ethan joined them, wiping sweat from his brow. Looks good, he said, nodding at the chime, its metal glinting in the sun. Clara grinned. It's for you guys. For everything you've done. Olivia's eyes stung, her hand finding Ethan's. We just started it, she said. You're the one who'll carry it forward. Clara hugged them both, then ran off to check the orchard, her laughter trailing behind. Ethan pulled Olivia close, the oak's shadow cool around them. Think we did all right? He asked, echoing their old question. She looked at the farm, their daughter, the life they'd built from pain and hope. Better than all right, she said, kissing him softly. We did everything. The oak's chimes rang out, a song of roots and redemption, proof that love could grow anywhere, as long as the ground was honest and the hands were willing. The sun dipped low over Willow Creek, painting the Caldwell farm in hues of amber and rose. Olivia and Ethan stood beneath the old oak, its wind chimes singing softly in the evening breeze. Clara, now 16, was in the orchard, leading a group of young farmers with the same fire that had once sparked her parents' fight. The farm thrived, not just in crops, but in hope, a beacon for those who believed in the power of honest work and stubborn love. Olivia's hand rested in Ethan's, her calluses a map of their shared years. We built something real, she said, her voice thick with quiet pride. Ethan kissed her forehead, his eyes tracing the fields they'd saved, the life they'd grown, more than real, he murmured, ours. Above them, the oak stood tall, its scars long healed, its branches holding the weight of 1,000 promises kept. In its shade, they knew the truth. Wealth wasn't in gold or empires, but in roots sunk deep, hearts entwined, and a legacy that would outlast them all. Hey there, folks. If Ethan and Olivia's story touched your heart, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We've got more tales of grit, love, and triumph coming your way. Join our community and let's keep the journey going together.